This is a web-based meeting, so we are operating under the following procedures. This session is being auto-recorded just like every other RDA meeting. Please be advised that today we are also recording the video of the proceedings. To ensure sound quality, the default rule for this meeting is that everyone will remain on mute. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute except when speaking or voting. Applicants, members of the public should have their video off. During the meeting, all the normal rules, including starting and now spelling your name and address if there was a hearing, which we're not having one, so we don't have to worry about that. If you want to raise your hand if you need to speak, and so that we can unmute you for any reason. Amy is going to be doing the discussions. Let me see. And there's no members of the public here right now, but during later in the meeting, we can unmute them and they can speak as well during that part of the meeting. So I think we're ready to go. So if Bob Buckley, if we could unmute him, we can call the meeting to order. Oh, I can't hear him.
Oh, I got to unmute. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting of the City of Norwich Redevelopment Agency to order on Monday, May 18th, 2020 at 6:05 p.m. Do we have enough for a quorum? I'm seeing if everyone's in here or not. I don't really know how. Do we have 10 participants?
We have Bob, Mark Kulos, Richard Verdicky. We also have Mark Kulos and Tucker Braddock, so we have 5.
We have 5, okay.
Yep, and that is a quorum because I believe there's 9 members and you have a vacancy right now, 1 position. So you have enough for a quorum.
Okay, quorum has therefore been established. I think we virtually have everyone recorded that's here, so we can do that. You all had received copies of the minutes from the January 27th, 2020 meeting. Any discussion on the minutes? So
what we'll do right now is we're going to unmute everyone, and if anyone has any comments about the minutes or they would like to make a motion.
All right.
I'll motion that we accept the minutes dated January 27th.
All right, Mark Kulis, I'll second.
Thank you.
May I also suggest every time someone speaks to give your name first?
Sure. Thank you, Mark.
Good idea. Bob Buckley, we have a motion from Tucker Braddock to accept the minutes as presented. That motion was seconded by Mark Kulos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any dissensions? So passed. Minutes are accepted as presented.
Richard, did you say something?
Yes, I said I wasn't at that meeting, so I'm not so sure I'm allowed to vote for acceptance of the minutes.
So do you want to
I have no questions
abstain?
I'll abstain.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, may I make a suggestion? Every time we take a vote, you actually call the roll so that we have an affirmative response from everybody via roll vote.
Sure.
That's how we've conducted these meetings in the other Zoom meetings I've attended.
All right, let me take a quick roll then as to.
Bob, would you like me to do it for you and call the names out and they can do it?
I can do it. I just want to write all the names down.
Okay.
Who's on there?
Okay, that's fine.
I have myself, Richard, Mark, Tucker. Who else is on here?
Shane.
Shane, right.
Shane and Rich Verbeke.
I have Rich. Yep. So that's 5. I just said we had 60. I don't know. Oh, Tony's
No,
on.
only 5.
Tony's not on?
No.
No.
Oh, there he is.
He's there?
He just came
Did
on.
Tony just come on?
Yeah. Down below, there's a box for participants, and it shows everybody that's on. So.
Yeah, I didn't see that Tony was. Oh, there he is. He just does. Okay, so we actually have how many members then here tonight? 6. You got 6?
6, yeah.
6. Yep.
Okay, 6 members. Okay.
Great. Thank you. All right, moving on. Any correspondence? I don't have
No
any.
new correspondence.
All right, we'll move on to old business then. And at this point, I will turn the meeting over to Diana. Yeah,
So I'm going to invite Amy Valancourt to speak now about on the agenda. She has a copy of the agenda. And if Amy, do you have it in front of you or do you want me to call out each different thing for you?
No, I have it in front of me.
Okay, so we're going to mute everybody right now so Amy can speak, okay?
Okay.
So Amy, why don't you give an update on those, the things that are on the agenda, those 4 items?
Yep. So starting with 21 Fairmount, former Martin Luther King Center, that is behind the fire department. So we completed a phase 1. The report is draft. We'll be sending that over probably next week. We really didn't find any issues with that property from an environmental standpoint. We didn't do a hazardous building material survey, but that's not part of the phase 1. But if I had to say anything, that's probably the only issue there. Maybe some lead paint. YMCA, we completed the phase 1 for that, sent out the final report. The YMCA has some issues associated with it. It used to be part of a gas station. One of the parcels has underground storage tank from heating oil currently. So we recommended doing a phase 2, knowing the city was foreclosing on the property. So that was the YMCA phase 1. Other inquiries, 232 West Town Street. We went out and met with Regan to talk about possibly helping them along. They had a grant for historic preservation. They wanted to do, you know, some limited sampling. We guided them, though. I felt that their request for sampling was a little premature and they might be opening a can of worms before they were ready. So we left the door open, you know, after she talks with SHPO to come back to us, we could provide her some more guidance. Norwich State Hospital, yeah.
Amy, I'm going to interrupt you on that. So I think you're mistaken on the wrong address. So you were talking about the Lepping well, but 232 West Town Street, Regan had you go out there. This is the property that is actually called the Calkins house. And the Calkins family wanted to know if you would do an assessment for them. And this is the residential property that's located in a commercial zone. So that's really what Deanna, I wanted to talk about. We
didn't go out there.
Okay.
We just did a commercial, like a quick desktop review of that one.
Okay, but you did speak with Regan about, we spoke with Regan and the Calkins Association and said that wasn't an appropriate one that we thought that we could do under this grant because it was really a residential property. And, but I know, I didn't want to jump in. I know you did the other one on 2 Town Street.
Yeah,
was the Lepping well one.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Okay, and then Norwich State Hospital caretaker quarters. You know, that was just the other day. Deanna, we didn't really do anything other than exchange some emails back and forth, but they were asking what the issues were for the caretaker house. We did not include that caretaker house as part of our assessment for Norwich State Hospital with regard to sampling. And that's what they were looking for, data that we, you know, maybe sampled that structure and around that property. I did let,
Oh, so I'm sorry, Amy, I'm just going to jump in. One of the points we wanted to make with the other inquiries for the RDA to understand is these are not task orders. These are inquiries from different people that call and they, you know, we have to spend time on investigating. So I just want to make a point that
ends up under, under project support, right? So we've been doing this. As you can see, these are just the ones that came up in the last month. And every month we get a few of these, you know, NCDC reaching out or, you know, the police station, the new project, things like that. So yeah, project support.
Good, thanks, Amy.
And and then Deanna, you had an email exchange with Alan based on COVID. Their EPA is talking about giving all of their grants a year extension, realizing that a lot of people are losing 6 or more months because of COVID. One thing I'll add to Deanna, I've been in on a lot of webinars because of COVID. The stimulus package that's coming out, they're looking for existing programs to funnel some of that money, and EPA Brownfields is one of them. And they're talking about $3 billion over 5 years. So that's probably leading into new business.
Great. So I want to jump in real
Yeah.
quick and say Stacy Gould joined the meeting late. So if we could make a note in the minutes that Stacy Gould joined at this time. Stacy, welcome, and we have you on mute until we get to the point when we're taking votes or have more discussion. So the EPA, like Amy's right, I just want to jump in on that. I spoke with Alan Peterson, and because they can't go out into these buildings and do these environmental assessments, and people living, you know, not just here, but all over the country, even though they gave us a grant extension only for that additional time, that the likelihood is we'll be seeing a letter sometime in May or June, I haven't got it yet, that's going to let everyone know that their grants, that they're just going to be extending them possibly up to another year, which is great for us because we, you know, again, we want to spend down our money. We don't want to have anything left over. So, Amy, you want to, actually, is that everything you have for old business?
Yeah, that's the end
No,
of the
Amy,
old
can I
business.
just jump in? Mark Kulos, I think
Sure.
you skipped over
Hi, Mark.
2 Town Street.
Actually, when I was talking about the first one, the West Town Street, Deanna made the correction. So I will go back and reiterate, 232 West Town Street was someone reaching out. Deanna, say the name of the family
The
again.
Calkins Family Association.
Right, they were reaching out for use of EPA funds for their project. And, you know, where they were in their project and what they were doing really didn't fit in line with EPA Brownfields. Similar was the 2 Town Street. They were a little premature in their request. They weren't ready to use EPA funds for their project too.
And one of the things, Mark, with the 2 Town Street, and Amy and I had gone out there a couple months ago, and then they kind of forgot that we had talked to them about it, is they've really disturbed the inside of that house already. So so it would be better if Amy gave them advice of how to clean it up, you know, with their staff doing it correctly and to clean it up then, and just dispose of it, because it's a residential property, dispose of it the way that you can by law, because it potentially could open a little bit of a can of worms for them with their grants. So is that correct to say, Amy?
Yeah, you know, they had already gone in and pretty much smashed the inside of it, you know, doing reno themselves. And then they were asking after the fact with the debris on the ground for us to sample. And, you know, I said to them, you know, although you're looking for our help, our funds are only assessment, not cleanup. And if I do an assessment and it turns up, you know, the debris you got here and everything you did, and I encourage them to go to SHPO because they have a grant in hand that they can use for renovation and their cleanup. So I instructed her to go talk to SHPO, see what they were requiring. They've been out there, they've seen the project, they funded it. And then we would move from there, is the guidance I gave her.
All right, yeah, because I know they have a sign out there, historic renovation, so I guess they are under the historic rules, so that probably blows any EPA grant out of the water too.
You know, they get a little bit of leeway there, you know, SHPO's guiding them. So if SHPO says, you know, get it sampled, we can come and help.
Okay. So I think, Mark, if you want to get into new business, can we do that? Robert, I mean? Can you turn, Bob, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself? There you are, Bob. No.
I'll mute. You hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to new business. At this point, we have a couple of task orders that we need to consider. And again, I'll turn this over to Deanna to go through those. So, on to you,
Perfect.
Deanna.
So the first one is task order number 16, which is adding on to what we've already done with the phase 1 for YMCA. The city is still in the process of foreclosing. I spoke with the city manager, the city attorney. They don't have an issue with us getting in there and doing some of this work here. So what Amy is proposing, hazardous building materials assessment, a limited phase 2 assessment, and then the underground storage tank assessment. Amy, do you want to give a little bit of information about this? The total is 62,000, but it breaks down if you want to kind of go over that, Amy.
Yeah, so it includes also not just assessment of the tank, but removal, right? We're going to work, get a contractor on board to get rid of the tank because you're going to be owner of that site. So EPA is allowing us to go in and as part of this assessment, actually remove the tank and sample the soils below. That tank, coupled with the fact that it was used as a gasoline station, so we're going to do some phase 2 site assessment. The hazardous building materials, you know, that's looking at a minimum you're going to renovate, but I think your plan is demo, right, Deanna, for that?
Yes, I think that's what we're going to do, and we can unmute Stacy at some point here too, because she's on the council and she would know a little bit more too. The goal, I think, is the building is probably to come down and get at some point go out to RFPs and see what people be willing to do with it. So we're not going to spend any money.
Yeah, we'll go in there and we'll do the hazardous building material sampling as a goal to put a cost estimate on it for you for demo.
Yep. Stacy, do you want to add on any comments to that?
First, let me apologize for being late to the meeting. I'm very sorry. But no, I agree that the way the buildings have been cobbled together, I don't see it ever in its present condition ever being rehabbed. So I think we need to do this phase 2 and then go for demo. Yes.
So unless you have any more comments, Amy, I would ask Bob Buckley, the chairman, if we could go for a motion to approve this task order so we could get moving on it. We wouldn't be able to do it obviously right now. I don't believe, Amy, you're not going into buildings right now. Is that correct?
You know, in this situation, because the building itself is so hazardous, Deanna, we would be wearing suits and respirators anyway.
So you might be able to do it sooner than later.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, Chairman?
Yes, any further discussion on the task order for the YMCA 337 through 341 and 351 through 353 Main Street? Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is Mark Koulis. I know on one of the documents, the math was wrong, so I don't know if we can go to the last page and check the math on this.
Okay.
No, this isn't the document. Okay.
Okay. Actually, could you go to the top of that document, Dan, real quick? And I just want to point out for Amy, there is go all the way up. Let me see if I can get, so, Amy, I think is a typo in the address on here. It says 351-352 Main. It's actually 351-353. That's just that, it's an odd number right there.
Yeah.
So that's the only typo I saw there.
Okay, typo on map. Okay.
All right, then I'd like to, do I have a motion to move this forward?
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve this task order 16, I believe it is.
Motion
I'll
made.
second that.
I'll second it.
So we have Mark, and then we have Stacy as a second on that. Rob, Bob, do you want to go through and name everyone so they can see what their votes are?
Yeah. Bob Buckley, I'm in favor of moving forward with the task order. Richard?
Yes.
Mark, you made the motion? Yes. Tucker?
Yes.
Shane?
Yes.
Tony? Tony, you out there? All
He
right.
must have walked away.
All right. Stacy, you're in favor of this?
Yes.
Okay, we have 6 yeas so far. Tony, I'll mark him down as an abstention unless he's, is he on mute, Diana, by any chance? Can you tell?
No,
from
he's He's not on mute.
Not, okay.
Tony, if you can hear us, can you try to, can you see if there's something going on your end?
Deanna, if I may, he raised his hand. I don't know if that's in agreement or not, but he's unmuted.
Okay.
I don't know why nobody can hear him.
Okay, so he voted in favor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the motion passed then.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to go on to the next task order number 17. And what you have in front of you here on the screen is the request. This actually came from the police department, from the chief of police. That 556 East Main Street is that building, the mill that's there, that we talk about a lot, Trinicanaria. I don't know how to pronounce it. I always pronounce it wrong. They have been on our list as a brownfields for a long time. The police department, I'm going to read, Deanna, the city of Norwich is exploring a possible future municipal use of the property located at 556 East Main Street, and such is looking for assistance with a phase 1 environmental survey of the site. The site consists of a large vacant factory type structure that's believed to have been constructed in 1880. With my understanding, the police department at some point might be interested in the school next door in the long run as a police department, and they're exploring that. And this mill building would come down. It wouldn't be redeveloped. It would come down for a parking lot, associated parking lot. Again, this is exploratory, but a phase 1 wouldn't hurt to have it on this property either way, because even if the owner decides or is to sell or anything, someone's going to want a phase 1. So, Amy, would you want to jump in on this one? If Dan will show the task order, please.
Yeah. This one, actually, Trinacrina, I think is how you say it. And it did come up high on the inventory as one of the selected sites for potential because of the location. So, yeah, a phase 1 for this would be approved by EPA easy.
So if Bob, if we could have some discussion or a vote on this, that would be helpful. And again, what's the cost? It's a lump sum of $4,500 for the to do the phase 1 for this property. It's pretty large.
Any further discussion on conducting a phase 1 on the former Trinicare?
Rich Trebek here. I have one question. It says a site visit to inspect, and it indicates that the property is still owned by somebody else. Is the owner willing to allow the site visit?
So for a phase 1, you don't go onto the property, but Amy, do you want to explain the rights that we have when a property is on a brownfields list? Do you want to talk about that so Richard understands?
Ideally, we'd love to have access. You know, Dan will try to get access, but if we can't, you can still do a phase 1 without getting access to the property. So we would still do all the file reviews. We would do the historic research. We would walk the perimeter on publicly accessible sidewalks, roadways, looking for vent and fill pipe, things that would be indicative of, you know, environmental concern. We'd love to get in there, but if we can't, you know, we can't.
I understand that. I was just reading the second paragraph, third line. It says that this phase 1 includes a site visit to inspect.
Yeah.
The site. So that's why I was just asking whether or not.
Yeah, we're going to try.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Mark
the
Kulisik-
owner,
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. I'm just going to give a quick update. So the owner has blight complaints against it, is working with our blight officer. The fence along the roadway has come down. They've done some demolition. There's demolition material back there. So I think this is the time that if we were going to get him to agree to go out, this would be the time, because he's already kind of going to be probably under orders at some point from blight and dangerous buildings for some of the work that he's been doing back there and the neglect of the buildings. Go ahead,
Deanna, you could also share with him, I think we have some of the, you know, from doing the inventory, I think we have some of the publicly available information, like the listing from DEEP, that you can say, hey, you know, we have this information as far as tanks, you know.
Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of a language barrier, I'll be honest with you there, with this owner, and I believe he's out of New York. He had a battle with the city already with the building official at one point, and for, I believe, dangerous buildings. Stacy, do you remember a little bit about that?
Yes,
Daisy?
for many years, he was on our list of dangerous buildings, but was resistant to anybody accessing the property, but this place really needs to be investigated. And I think the time is ripe that he has now been doing this work on the property. I don't know what his hopes were, but I think getting a phase 1 done and trying to move this forward, the timing is right now. Yeah, he and
Thank
Jim
you.
Stroger
Mark?
didn't get along too well.
Mark Kulis?
Yeah, my concern is that for a number of years, they stored vehicles and had an auto club in there. So possibly there could be some petroleum contamination, oil, from vehicles, other contaminants. So that's my concern as far as the interior of the building goes.
Which will be really good for the phase 1 because that's going to go all into that phase 1 of the historic uses, Mark. And we know that auto club was in there, which is going to be important if they're going to save that building, or later on, let's just say that the city is in our hands taking it down. We also know we know what was there, what we're dealing with, or if he sells it to somebody else, they know at the phase 1 what they're dealing with and what the cleanup would be. So it's a good, tool for us to have, either for the municipal, if we end up, because I'm not sure what his tax status is, but I have a feeling that I think he may be behind in taxes. I want to be careful with that. But so there may be at some point in the future, any of these buildings, we end up, unfortunately, sometimes getting these, and it's helpful to have this information.
Yeah, and it's an important building because it is on one of the gateway roads into Norwich.
Absolutely. So
But right now, it's beside the school.
Right. It's across from
Always
Bishop
been beside
School,
the
yeah.
school, but-
So if we could move forward with, Chairman Buckley to get a motion on spending the $4,500 for a phase 1 on this property.
Tucker
Yes,
Frederick, in favor of that?
Look, are you making a motion?
Yes, I am.
I'll second the
Second.
motion.
I think it's Project 17. I would be in favor of making that motion.
So we have Tucker and we have Stacy as a second, Bob.
Motion, second. Okay. Richard, you in favor?
I'm in favor, yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Tucker, yes.
Yes.
Shane?
Yes.
Tony? Tony, raise your hand.
Is he raising his hand down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. Tony's in favor. Stacy?
Yes.
And I am, so
Good.
passed. Thank you.
Thank you. So next thing is the project support, and then we're going to talk a little bit about budget too. So, which I don't have a bullet point, but that'll be next. But project support, so if we can look at that, project support is, Amy's going to talk a little bit about, this is the work that Amy does beyond that can't be it's not specifically tied to one of the projects. So this is attending the meetings. This is talking to those like the Regan Minor about the historic buildings, those 2 buildings. This is meeting with other people, answering NCDC and those kind of things. So Amy, why don't you talk about amendment 2 to task order 1?
Yeah, okay. So this task order, this amendment actually takes us from December, right? Because we had finished our last amendment as of December for the project support. Now this one, what I did, given the chance to revisit this before tonight's meeting, is I added in there a time frame saying December 2019 to December 2020. If they give us the extension on the grant, I just can't see us going past December with the budget you have.
All right. And
So
I believe
this
is the
is a-
document
go
with the
ahead.
incorrect math in it.
All right, so
the-
Dan, can you pull that down? Nope, no map on this one. Was the map on the ones that we just approved for the Trinican area, that one? Was that one?
I don't know, there were probably 2 task order. Somehow, I don't know, there was one that was off by like $20,000.
Oh, he's
was
saying
one that had a
math,
total.
not map.
Math,
The math is off?
M-A-T-H.
dollar value.
Okay, we're thinking a map,
Yeah.
like a drawing map.
No,
we
no,
thought you said.
math.
No, map.
Okay,
Dollar
And
amount.
so we
so-
have to, let's add this up then. 9,600, 5,200, 4,800, 2,000.
Well, there was one
21,000.
document that
21,600
had
here.
the total amount of the budget left, and then there was a subtraction from the amounts that
Oh.
were, maybe it was
Mark,
the
that's
next
gonna be in the,
document.
that's the next thing. That's on the email with the budget, so we can talk about that in a minute. That's in the next one.
All right,
Okay,
That's
so that's
probably the one
gonna
that's
be, that's
incorrect.
not tied to a task order. That's Amy talking about, so we have that in an email, so we'll talk about that in a second.
okay.
So this project support, this is to get Ty and Bond's assistance to help us through, again, these are all the other things that cannot be tied to a specific project. So there's a task order to take us from last December until this December of $21,600. So I'm looking for that approval for that.
At this point, do I have a motion to accept the amendment 2 to task order number 1?
I'll
Yes,
make that motion.
I will
Okay,
second
I'll-
the motion.
Go ahead.
So we
Dr.
have
Bradley will
Stacy made the
second.
motion.
I heard somebody make a motion and someone say second, so.
Stacy made the motion. Who seconded?
Tucker,
all right.
Tucker. Tucker seconded. Okay.
Motion. Okay. So on the motion for additional support, Bob is a yes. Richard?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes,
Tucker?
yes,
Shane?
Yes.
Somebody, Tony, can somebody see Tony? Tony, put your hand up.
He put his hand up again.
Okay.
Good.
Stacy, yes?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Motion passed.
Right. So then, Dan, if we can go to that next screen where Amy was an email from her. So maybe this is where the math was, Mark.
It is, I already see it. Yeah.
right,
Okay.
yeah, it was 106 minus 60, minus 63 doesn't come out to 69 or whatever it was.
Right.
Okay. So Amy, so
So-
let's do this. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think the petroleum number, the 63.5 is wrong, Deanna.
Okay. But we're still fine right now. So do you want us to, so what, it's the 106
I'm going to
minus what we approved?
revisit. Yeah, I'm going to revisit that. I'm going to go back and look at that, and I'll send you an email that you could share with the RDA.
Okay, so I'll just say it
Yeah.
individually with you. So this was just an update, the balances. So you think the balance is less, is what you're saying for petroleum than what it's showing here?
No, I think that is correct. I think the middle bullet is where I have an error.
Mark, is
So I
that what you
think
saw the error?
Yeah, because I think there was a March update which gave the balances, and I think the balances were, the starting balances were correct.
Yeah,
It's just, if you take, what was it, 60, I can't really read, it's tiny, 63.5 from 106, it's going to be 40,000 and something.
42.5.
right.
Right.
42.5 instead of 69.5 left for petroleum, and then hazardous is the 30,000.
Yeah, I have to go back and I have to confirm on that.
So Amy will confirm that, but this was just an
Yeah.
update for
So-
you. So we're, we do have some money left. And then on the, Amy, I think, is the email, Bob, Dan, can you go back up to higher on this email? It talks about she's saying what potentially we could do. So the remaining hazardous funds may be used for either YMCA demo planning, which may be something that we want to do, or some other projects need to be determined. Again, petroleum funds for K-Part, and this was my response to her. We have had some interest in the last week or so from an interested investor in the K-Part, and they may be interested in having a phase 1 done. And the other option, again, was the underground storage tanks at Norwich State Hospital. So we have a little bit of money left, and we can talk about that at a future meeting.
it's good.
All right. So
If
once
I could
the
just bring up
math
a
is
comment.
corrected, we'll probably have a total of 80 to 90,000 left then.
Yeah, but it's split between them. Don't forget how
Right,
we use it.
yeah.
So Richard, go ahead, Richard.
A reasonable explanation for the math error is if you go back to that 69,000, I think this 6 and the 3 are transposed. That should be 36,500, and that will go and give you everything, explanations for where the balances come up and how you got there.
Okay, so you're saying the balance for petroleum would be 36,500. Is that what you're saying, Richard? And then
If you were to
hazardous
go and look
30,000.
for a logical error, that would be the error to look at.
Okay, so I think Amy just, like I said, sent it in the email to
Let me
me. I asked her
confirm. Yeah.
Yep. And I'll send you out an email with the confirmation number. So this is just letting you know that we have a couple projects out there that there's interest in potentially in the Cape Heart. And we might want to, think about doing a phase 1. There's been phase 1s before, I believe. There's lots of information, but we might want to do something there. But I like the planning for the YMCA. I think the demo planning, I think, is important for the city because that's going to cost us some money if we take that building down, and be able to have that document might be important. But we can talk about that at our next meeting. Dan, do we have any public that's on here, the citizens?
No.
So we have no one. So we have no citizen comment. Chairman Buckley, are you here still? There you are.
I'm still here. Do we need to do a vote on the project support, Deanna?
I think you already did it. The project support passed.
Well, I'm sorry.
Stacy
Yes,
and Tucker, you
we have
went.
3 votes. Yes, my mistake. We have 3
The last
votes.
thing was that was really just a budget update. That's the last thing with that email. So in what potential future projects you might be considering. So there was no vote on that. That's just discussion.
Any further business to come before the committee this evening? Hearing
No.
none, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn.
Dr.
Mark
Braddock.
Miller.
Dr. Braddock,
So we
motion.
have it from Mark Kulos, the motion. Who's the second?
I'll second.
Richard seconds on that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Seems like everybody's in
right.
favor. Any dissensions on?
Thank you, guys.
adjournment?
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a good
all.
night.
Yes,
All
you
right,
do.
drive careful,
Bye-bye.
be safe.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to log off.